we've made it to the funniest pro-life law in existence. Mississippi lawmaker introduces Contraception Begins at Erection Act. This bill, which is unlikely to pass, would make it unlawful for, quote, a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, the radical left is coming for your hog. If the radical left gets everything they want, you will not be able to crank your hog. You will not be able to cream pie your wife or your girlfriend or your Tinder match. This is the world that liberals want. I can't even take it seriously. Mississippi State Senator Bradford Blackmon, a Democrat, introduced a bill this week that would seemingly ban men from masturbating or engaging in other sexual acts when they have no, quote, intent to fertilize an embryo. I used to think that it was only conservative stories that paralleled Onion articles. This is up there. This reads exactly like an Onion article. The only thing that separates it is the title. If this were an Onion article, it would say Mississippi lawmaker introduces law that would kill you for jerking off. The bill, titled the Contraception Begins at Erection Act, would make it unlawful for this is just the fucking subheading. It would make it unlawful for, quote, a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. It includes exceptions for sperm donation and using contraception to prevent fertilization. So if you jerk off with a condom on, you will not be punished under this bill. The bill introduced Monday would impose fines of $1,000 for a first offense, $5,000 for a second offense, and $10,000 for any subsequent offenses. I'm sure there are people in Mississippi who would rack up these fines in one day. The bill is unlikely to pass the GOP-led state legislature, but if it does and is signed into law by Governor Tate Reeves, a Republican, it would go into effect in July. It would unironically be... Republicans have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. I don't want to spoil it, but Senator Blackmon did this as a joke. He understands the silly nature of a bill like this, and he used it to highlight how every bill that comes for this area of legislation is always woman focused. It's always putting the onus on the woman and how the women can't do this and they can't do that and this, that, whatever. This is just to highlight that hypocrisy. Blackmon, a first-term senator representing a district north of Jackson, the capital, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In a statement to NBC affiliate WLBT of Jackson, Blackmon referred to the high number of state legislative bills introduced in recent years that target women's access to reproductive health care, specifically abortion and contraception. There's also this, it again just furthers the conversation about how Republicans would love to undo the Supreme Court decisions that guarantee your right to contraception. They've already come for abortions. We're not too far away from them saying, no, you can't get a fucking blowjob in your own house because that violates sodomy laws. All across the country, especially here in Mississippi, the vast majority of bills relating to contraception and or abortion focus on the woman's role when men are 50% of the equation. This bill highlights the fact and brings the man's role into the conversation. People can get up in arms and call it absurd, but I can't say that it bothers me. People are going to call this absurd, and this senator knows it's absurd as well, because he understands that really this whole conversation around women's reproductive rights is absurd. The simple fact of the matter is that women call me a radical liberal, but I think that women should be allowed to receive reproductive health care. They should have the right to get an abortion. They should be allowed to, get birth control, whatever other form of contraceptives that they need. Because I haven't heard any prominent Republican talk about getting rid of condoms or banning condom sales. It's always hormonal birth control, which of course women take. Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022 and ended the constitutional right to an abortion, legislatures in Republican-led states have increasingly sought to restrict abortion and contraception access. It goes beyond this. It's abortion bans, limiting access to contraception, but also the abolishing of sexual education. All of these are tremendously detrimental to women overall. Not wanting to teach sexual education leads to higher rates of teen pregnancy. It leads to higher rates of STD infections. You can also teach sexual education in a way that highlights when someone is being sexually abused or not. Currently, 12 states, including Mississippi, have total or near abortion bans, while an additional 6 states ban abortion from 6 weeks to 12 weeks of gestation, according to KFF, a nonprofit group that researches the health policy issues. By mid-2024, 8 states had enacted or proposed restrictions on women's access to contraception, according to Guttmacher Institute, a research group that supports access to abortion. That's fucking crazy. This is not ever, from the Republican point of view, pro-life discussion. This is always about controlling what women can and can't do with their bodies. Because if Republicans were pro-life, they would have things like paid family leave, so that way the mother was guaranteed, or the mother and father were guaranteed by law X amount of weeks after the birth of their child that they could spend with that child. They would invest in free and universal childcare. They would invest in stricter, or they would lobby for stricter gun laws so that way children don't have to worry about getting clapped in school. But instead, they don't. They want these children to be born, and that's it. They will literally punt the baby off of the bridge before the woman gives birth to them, or after the woman gives birth to them. That is it. That is it. For whatever reason, they only view children from the fertilization of the egg till it's birthed by the mother. After that, they're like, oh shit, there's another child that we have to, there's another child that might be going to school hungry. But I have this bill on my desk. The governor of Mississippi he's presented with this bill that says all children will be guaranteed breakfast and lunch in school. And he's like, damn, I just had some lady come to my office yesterday with this newborn baby and said, it'd be great if they'd be able to go to school and get something to eat because I'm struggling financially. And he's like, actually, you know what? Fuck this bill and fuck that child and fuck that mother. It's disgusting. I will say, I guess I'm glad that there is at least someone in some state legislature that is having a little bit of fun with this situation and doing something creative to drum up conversations about it. Because it's one thing to go out and post, posting is great. It's good to just, farm engagement online, but that doesn't always necessarily translate to the real world. But this is a real world thing that your colleagues have to work on. That's another thing. I don't know exactly the specifics of state legislature in Mississippi, but you're at least making your colleagues show up to work and vote no on this bill. Or maybe they'll even vote yes. Maybe they're that fucking stupid that they would vote yes and realize that they're fined $1,000 for every nut that they bust outside of a condom.